Hello Internet, welcome to TLC online courses. In the last class we looked at the pen tool and we took a deep dive into the pen tool, and we did a couple of things that showed us how the pen tool works and kind of remove that fear that people have of the first pen tool, especially beginners to Photoshop. So today we're going to be looking at a new tool, or maybe more of a concept in Photoshop. We'll be looking at masks. Let's just do print, pick a letter. Yeah, that's fine. Landscape. I think it's still the same thing anyway. Okay, so today we'll be talking about masks in Photoshop, and this is gonna be another deep dive deep dive class in which we're really gonna explore masks, their usage, and a little bit of the science behind masks. So let's jump in. I'm gonna create a new layer here. By now we should be familiar with creating layers that way. Other ways you can create layers: to come here to layer, new layer, and layer, give it a name. I'm just going to leave that as layer 1 and that. Okay, so with the 8, let's use I had solder just now, and then I think I'm feeling the effect of that. Probably not a good idea to have solder just before a class. Okay, let's set a foreground color to some green. No, when I was thinking about this, okay, I like blue, but probably you guys are getting bored of me using blue all the time, so I'm just gonna go a different way now. I'm gonna do green. There we go. Boom. Okay, so I've got this green circle, and we're gonna now look at how I can use mask to do something to this. But before I go on, you know what, let me quickly create another layer, another project here. I'm gonna make that portrait, and I'm gonna draw a few rectangles. Let me put some guides to help me with this one. In a minute, what I'm doing is going to make a lot of sense, but what I want to do right now is to just draw a few rectangles, and I'm going to color it in the different shades of black. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And why I'm doing that is going to be obvious later, or at least I'm going to try and explain what it is, and hopefully it'll help explain better the concept I'm trying to teach here. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so let's just do that. Alright, I'm gonna do a copy, and I could have done Ctrl J, but I'm gonna do a copy, something you can do in almost all Adobe suites, Adobe Creative Cloud applications. So I'm going to hold Alt, click on that object, and drag. I'm going to hold Shift to drag, so I have a perfect drag. So that's it. I made a copy. I'm going to do another copy. The idea is to make sure that you have your Alt, your click, left click before you drag. Make sure you have your icon changing, at least your cursor icon, change it to that before you drag. I'm just going to get out of our guides a little bit here. You know what, let's just transform that and keep it in. There we go. Oh wow, I'm not doing this well, am I? Okay, I'm going to hold Shift and just put that there. It's not important whether that is perfect, Now I'm gonna hold Shift and just select every one of these, do my alt click again, just copy all of that over to the other side of things. Okay, so all these have to be, I'm going to open up swatches if we have that. I just want to pick swatch from the grayscale. Okay, good. Maybe I shouldn't have even done this, but that's fine, we're here already. Okay, so for this, let's get this one. Then for this, let's get this one. No, let's make it very different and real quickly, and that's and white. Okay, good. So let's remove the guys, control semicolon. Now what I have here is a gentle movement of black to white, and this is very important in the way Photoshop masks work. Basically, when you add black to a Photoshop mask, you are subtracting that from that image. You're removing the object, or you're hiding the object. Let me use that word. You're hiding when you're using black, and when you're using white to fill in, you're revealing whatever you've hidden. You're revealing it again. Now here's the catch: as you go from deep black, or the deepest black, and you begin to go gray, now you're not going to hide so much anymore, and neither are you going to reveal so much anymore. You begin to get if you add, say, green, and then your green begins to show up a little bit. Let me just show us from what we're doing here, and then it will help me explain what's going on here a little more. So right now I've got this. If I had a mask to it, this is the way to do that. Here that says add layer masks. Good. Have the mask. Now I'm even going to do something interesting. So if let me quickly introduce us to this group of tools. The polygonal lasso tool. The lasso tools basically, and there are 3 of them. I'm just gonna use this middle one. I may have to hold on. I'm gonna remove that mask right now, and let me rasterize this layer, because it doesn't matter if I rasterize the layer anyway, but I just want to rasterize that layer. So let's add a mask, and if I make this shape just like that, and then I'm trying to create a selection here. Good. Now I have a selection. While I'm in this mask, now notice I have this this box, sort of like a target around this mask. If I'm here, that's a different thing. I'm working on the layer. But if I'm on this, I'm inside the mask, and that's important to note when using mask. Now if I fill in using, there are 2 ways I can now fill this in. I could hold Alt Backspace, and look at that, because I filled in full black. Look at that, that's full black, right? How GB 000, that's full black. If I fill in full black, I would hide part of the layer mask where my selection is. I mean, part of that layer where my selection is will be hidden from me. And if I were to instead I only Ctrl Z undo to just get my selection back. If I were to make a full white here, and remember last time we wanted to fill in our foreground color, which is this black, I did Alt Backspace. Now if we were to fill in this background color, which is that white now, and I was to do Control Backspace, notice how now I have revealed what was hidden. So it's what I was trying to explain with this group of boxes. If you fill in this full black, I don't think this is a full black anyway. Maybe I should just select this and make sure I'm on a full black. Good. So if I was to fill in this full black, I'll be hiding away from that layer, and if I fill in full white, I'll be revealing what was hidden from that layer. So that's at the basic level, that's how the mask in Photoshop really operates. So it's all about the shades of gray. So now as a little experiment, I'm going to undo again just to make sure that my selection is back, and here at my foreground color I'm going to select something in the region of gray, something that's not so black, that's not so white. Okay, and I'm going to fill that in using Alt Backspace because it's my foreground color. Or another way to fill that in is to hold down here. You may not have to hold down if you're already on your bucket 2. So we're going to select Paint Bucket 2, and if I fill that in, notice what I have here now. So I have that with the that lighter shade of green, that pastel green. That is what I have now. Why? Because I filled in about 50% black. So it's not black, it's not white, it's in between there, and Photoshop will also interpret whatever you interpret that as. Okay, I want this level of revolution or hiding. I don't know if I'm making this really complex, but I hope I'm making it as simple as possible. So basically, masks work with the idea of the shades of gray. The more gray you add in there, the less the gray, the more towards black you get, the more you hide. The more towards white you go to, the more you reveal. That's just the idea of how masks work. Now, having known this and having demonstrated this, let's now look at some applications of masks. Some places where you need, where Photoshop artists will usually use masks. I'm going to embed a picture I just downloaded from FreePic, and pardon me, I think I need to do something from the website. Hold on. Yeah, I think I'm going to use this picture, so I just want to get the attribution. Yeah, so this picture is by, I think it's a free picture. Okay, so hold on, let me just do something. I don't want to use that picture without attributing the author of that because I didn't pay for that. Okay, so I think it's by Way Home Studio right there. Okay, so shout out to Way Home Studio. I think they via FreePic. So yeah, FreePic is somewhere you can get free resources. But the thing is, when you use FreePic resources and you're not on a premium plan, you should endeavor to attribute the author of that. So yes, there we go. Now let's just place embed. We did that in the last class. You know what, since we placed embed in the last class, how about right now I show us how, just to place linked, just for the learners. So now let's select this also from FreePic, but since I'm not using that, I won't be attributing them right away. Okay, good. enter. So quickly, let's take a selection of this image of the girl holding the book. We're gonna use a tool from one of our magic selection tools. We use quick selection, this one. Let's just make it big by I'm tapping on my bracket open to make it that that selection, this circle, to make it smaller. I'm going to just tap on my bracket open. Bracket close makes it big, just in case I'm confused just there. I'm trying to like make sure I got it right now. So this is bracket close and I'm making it bigger, and bracket open will make it smaller. So I'm just going to use this large, and I'm just going to go down. I can easily do it this way because the background of this particular image contracts enough from the image, and it's easy for me to use a quick selection tool. Otherwise, I may have had to use a pen tool to go in deep and begin to make some drawings or draw some parts. Okay, good. Now I have this. Now let us now do a mask on that. I'm in black here. First of all, let's revert to default here by pressing D on our keyboard, and then let's flip it by pressing X. So if I have this mask, good. There's a reason I did that. Let me just undo for us. If I were to leave this as black and then masked, remember when you paint in black, right, you're hiding. So which means what I've selected here, I want to hide the girl. If I wanted to hide the girl, if that's what I wanted to do, I'm gonna leave the foreground color as this foreground color right here. I'm gonna leave it as black, and okay, that'll be fine. Okay, so hold on. Okay, fine. So of course there are other ways we could have selected this girl's picture from that image and used it, but masking it is one way to use it, making sure that you still have you still protect the integrity of the image. Now if I were to add some feathers and dive deep into the mask and edit it, hold on, if I was to select a brush and using the soft round brush, let's make that really small. There we go. And let's change that. Let's change to white, our foreground color to white. And then I do this. Sorry, let's stay within the object. Then we can soften some of that edge. That right now the edge is looking so sharp. We can soften that. All we're really doing is painting back some of the original piece of that image, and that's what masking does. When you make a selection with the mask, you would have protected the integrity of the entire image, in that you can always take back some of the portion of that image, the old image, that if you ever need it. Of course, this will probably be better to go deeper rather than outside. So that's one way again we can use the mask. If I were to go back in, reverse that, I'm painting with my background color. What I did right now, let me just undo that a little bit so I'm not confusing anymore. Okay, I think I've gotten that back to where it was. Okay, good. So if I was to make a selection of that mask, now invariably I'm making a selection of the girl in the picture. Now if I was to, right now the selection is around the girl. If I wanted the selection to be on the rest of the image, which I'll say the rest of the canvas in a way, I'm going to hold Ctrl Shift I. That way I would have inverted the selection. Let me just undo that and show us how to do it directly. Select, inverse. Now I've inversed the selection. Now let me just flip our foreground background color. Remember, this is gray, right? This is like halfway there gray, or I just pick a color here. Out there, somewhere there. Okay, let's pick this bright one. I remember, let's just disable our mask a little bit just to see what's going on. Remember, this is a really this is a bright pink, a well saturated pink. Now we're gonna make it a pastel pink, just with the power of what mask can do for us. So to make this a pastel pink, we're just gonna paint in this gray into our mask, having reversed it, knowing now that we were dealing with the rest of the picture, not just all that. So we're gonna do Alt Backspace just to fill in that color, and there we get that pastel pink and no longer the saturated pink we used to have. If we were to select this or something even lighter and paint that in. Hold on, what's going on? Hold on. Let me just make sure that, wait, okay, good, we're still correct. So notice how this is a well saturated pink, and when I enable the mask, I have that pastel pink going on because I've now painted a lighter shade of gray, thereby reducing the saturation of that pink. Okay, mask can be really tough to explain, but I hope this is a good one. I hope you're getting something away from this. So let's remove that. So the basic idea to take away from masks is that, and you know, this same idea which we are explaining now in Photoshop is the same idea for masks when you get to After Effects, if you're ever interested in that, or any Adobe tool for that matter that employs the use of masks. So the idea is, if you paint in full black into your mask, you'll be hiding your layer completely. If you paint in full white, you'll be revealing your layer that was hidden. If you paint in this gray or that gray or that gray, you only be revealing certain desaturated version of your layer, more like your layer with different opacity, and the opacity or the flow will be dependent on just how dark your black is. So yeah, I thought this was gonna be a long video, but when I really look at it right now, masks don't have to be really long. I think we've covered the science of masks. That's just the science of masks anyway. And I think in a way, behind the scene, when we talk about blend modes later, I think masks or whatever the code for masks must have been doing something there too, because blend modes in a way work with the same theory of how black is it and or how bright it is it. So that's it. That's layer mask. That's layer mask for us in Photoshop. And it's how you can use layer mask to crop out an image, or how you can use layer mask to remove certain portions of an image to get something interesting. Here's one last thing I want to do before I go. Okay, I wanted to just think about superimposition. I don't know if we've ever heard that word, but it's something artists use a lot. I'm going to demonstrate superimposition with these two images and how layer masks are employed to help us achieve that effect. Good. And I'm going to give this a different color because I can. Why not? You know what, let's just do it here. Let's give that, let's give that a red or something, or orange. I think a red is good. That's not red, but that's fine. Okay. Sorry. Thought I had that selected. Yeah, there we go. Now the idea is this. Say, let's think about this as two images that you have imported into Photoshop. I'm about to teach us a way that we can superimpose these two images on top of the other, just using these shapes. And whatever I teach you right now is the same technique you're going to use if you want to superimpose two images on top of one another. So now I'm going to add a mask to this orange layer, this really saturated orange. Now I've had a layer mask that. The next thing is you need to pick a brush tool. Make sure you're on soft round brush. That's what I use, unless you want to make an interesting shape, which I think I can. If I have time in this video, I'll probably do it. Now just let's erase away. Now there's a problem when I'm not getting what I want to get, but then it's good what's happening because that will help me explain something to you, or what I've been explaining all day is not gonna make a lot of sense. Now look at what we have here. This foreground color is really, it's a bright gray, and that is why as I paint in that foreground color, yeah, it removes some of that orange, but only as much as the value of the gray I have here. So I'm just gonna undo all of that. I'm gonna press D to get back to the default background and foreground color, which are white and black, and I'm gonna switch this. Okay, so now I think I want this a bit bigger because I want this, that superimposition, to just really look good. Awesome. So I'm just gonna hold this to Ctrl T, and you know what, let's do this. So that's gonna give us right there, we got a sky and a desert. Interesting, right? So we got a sky here and a desert and that mystic cloud, and just put the images, just put an image here, and then you have some Chinese design for you, and it's really cool. I like the Asian designs a lot. It's always very simple and very straight to the point. I like it. Okay, so that's how you superimpose two objects, and you can do the same with pictures. Maybe quickly I should show us how to do pictures. I think it's pretty much the same way, but I also got this image I'm about to use from FreePic, but I'm not gonna go back and begin to attribute. I don't know if I have that time right now. I don't want this video being way longer than I want it to be. Okay, so I'm just gonna reduce this a little bit, and then I'm gonna bring in this one too. By the way, when I drag in an image like that directly to Photoshop, what I'm really doing is place embed, so it's not a different thing at all. Awesome. Okay, and I'm gonna select both. I just want them to be a little bigger and reach the edge for me to work quite good. Now let's add a layer mask to this layer again there, and let's get our soft round brush. I'm gonna make it a lot bigger because I want it very soft and shiny. Okay, that's good. So I've got that pastel thing going on. I really want to change, don't I? Okay, I'm losing it. So okay, that's good. Alright, so that's how you can blend in two layers together. I can go in and do some hue and saturation on this background and make it look like this one, but that's not the point of this particular video. We'll probably get to that in another video. So that's how you can superimpose two layers together. So if you see if you've seen an image where the same person is dressed differently, and half of the person is dressed in suit and half of the other person is dressed maybe a little different, maybe all hoodie and funky, and we're trying to it's a popular trick. This is the way it's been achieved. Just get the two pictures, superimpose them, and erase one part of it away with a layer mask, and boom, you get your superimposed images. It's a fun thing to play with. But masks are really powerful, especially when you get to motion graphics in After Effects. Masks can give you some really interesting motion graphics and interesting outputs. Alright, so yeah, there was something I wanted to show about masks. I think it's kept my mind now, but that's fine. I think this video's gone long enough, and I think we've covered quite a bit about masks. Yeah, we've covered quite a bit. Okay, obviously soft round brush isn't the only brush you can use. You can as well use hard red brush. The difference is it's not going to blend in smoothly, it's going to blend in with hard edges. But if that's what you can want to do, that's good. The last thing I want to mention is that you can go to Brusheezy. They're not paying me for this. It's just that I don't like making a class where I leave students hanging. So it's good for you to know where you can get brushes to. So come to brusheezy.com, and here you can get a lot of brushes which you can use to make some interesting effects in your masks. I think I'm showing something that wasn't meant for this video. Alright, yes, thank you internet for watching this one, and in the next class we're gonna look at adjustment layers. I think so. Oh, no, we're gonna look at layer styles. Right here we're going to look at Photoshop layer styles, and then after that we're going to look at adjustment layers. And at this point you should be able to get confident with the basics of Photoshop, be able to actually look at Photoshop and understand what someone else is doing, even if you're still not confident enough to create your own artwork. But at least you should be able to look at what someone else is doing and say, okay, I know what he's doing, I understand that, and at least that's a good place to start from. That's a good starting point, when you can look at someone's work and interpret it and say, okay, I think I know how he achieved this, I know how he must have achieved that, or one way he could have achieved that. So that's a cool thing, that's a really good thing to have. So yeah, and I hope by the end of this introduction course you'll be able to do designs, use Photoshop to confidently design some really good artworks. That's the goal, right? Alright, see you in the next class. Thank you for watching this one.